about the history of MongoDB. Okay. History, its evolution and the tools around the core of the database. Any of you don't know what MongoDB is? I think that everyone knows that MongoDB is a NoSQL database, so I can skip this. Okay. Do you know how MongoDB? What was its first name? Do you have an idea? No, no one of you. Okay, so the original name was Tengen. Okay, Tengen was the name of a company that was in charge of dealing with some advertisements in the web. Okay, we will see later that who were the co-founders of MongoDB, but they worked together in a company and they faced some issues when trying to scale this stuff. Okay, that was the reason they left that company and focus on the database part, which was the part in which they were facing these scale issues. These were I don't know, the co-founders: Dwight Merriman, Elliot Horowitz, and Kevin Ryan. Okay, so let me tell you something about each of them very briefly. So Dwight Merriman was the CTO of DoubleClick. The company I said that was the business was about advertisements. Okay, and okay, he was also an investor in Business Insider, and so on. Elliot Horowitz, yeah, he also worked for this company, DoubleClick. So when he left, he was one of the co-founders of MongoDB, and he worked as CTO of MongoDB for many years, since it was founded till 2020 when he left MongoDB. What he did, okay, he also I don't know when exactly, but he also co-founded another company called SubWiki. But when he left MongoDB, he founded a new company called IAM Robotics. And the last one, Kevin Ryan, CEO of DoubleClick, which was sold to another company called Hellman and Friedman for a lot of money. You can read there. He also co-founded an e-commerce site, okay, and was also a Business Insider and many other things. So we can see that these guys were not just friends that meet in the school and in the garage thought about building MongoDB. So I think that they already knew what to do and how to do it. They were very experienced guys. Here I have written a little bit about the business of the companies I have mentioned, but I will not read this now because I think that this is not in our interest. And let's go to the first milestones in the history of MongoDB, very briefly. Tengen was founded in 2007 in New York. 2009, when these guys left DoubleClick, they released the MongoDB project itself, okay, with the first version of MongoDB. On 2013, they changed the name from Tengen to the current one, okay, MongoDB. 2014. They changed their first database storage. Sorry, their first storage engine they were using with White Tiger, which is the one they are using right now. Okay, and they launched also their first tool, MongoDB Compass, in order to help the developers to deal with the database from the developer perspective. Okay. 2016 they launched MongoDB Atlas. You know, Atlas is the database platform as a service. This is, I would say, nowadays their most important product. Okay, what else? 2017, very important because they went public on that year. Also, they launched version 3.6 with retriable writes. Sorry. Sorry. 2019. They realized that the mobile ecosystem was growing a lot and they had to be there. So they acquired a company called Realm in order to be able to use MongoDB for mobile platforms. 2020, okay, they introduced, you know, in cloud providers, serverless databases. 2021, with MongoDB 5.0 version, time series collection, and many other things that we will see. Okay, they reached 35,000 customers in 2021. Column Index Store was launched in 2022, 2023. And this year they have launched the last version, MongoDB 8, with many AI capabilities. Okay, these were I think the most important milestones. Now let me go to the evolution. Here we have when each of the versions were released. Not important to learn about that. But now let me do a review of the main features in each of the versions, in my opinion. Okay, the main features in my opinion, and discuss a little bit on them. So, first version 1.2, they allow to create more indexes per collection. I don't know the initial name, the initial number of indexes per collection, but it was low. So this was a big improvement. Faster index creation, the introduction of MapReduce. You know, MapReduce is a paradigm that lets you deal with a huge amount of data in the form that 2 steps. In the map phase, you ingest the data, and in the second one you do the aggregations you need, and you get the results you are looking for. Also, they allowed to create or to store inside the database JavaScript functions, and so on. This is something that you can still do nowadays, but it's not recommended for security reasons. Also, MapReduce is deprecated totally in MongoDB now. They changed this by other feature. Version 1.4, improvements in concurrency. They allowed you to create indexes in background. This is because, Peter, do you have an idea why to be able to create indexes in background is important?
Yeah.
Can you explain, please?
Yeah, it's important because of when you are creating the index in foreground, you can't access the database. So you can do it during databases running.
Yeah. That's the reason. As in any other databases, when you create these sort of things, the database must block some stuff. So it could be a collection, or it could be the database itself, or something. So while each block is not reachable by other operations, or is reachable just for reading but not for writing. So this is or could be a performance issue. So in order to avoid this performance penalty, MongoDB has used this feature. Okay, that means that it creates that index only when it cans. So only when there are no other writable operations in place. Okay, regarding replication, you know that at that time MongoDB didn't use replication nowadays in the form of a replica set. They were using master and slave architecture. But okay, they could also introduce faster syncs between the primary and the secondaries, or even among the primaries. Slave delay, you know that this means that you are able to say or to introduce a delay in the replication. So it's not, for example, usually if you do nothing by default, it's almost immediate, okay? But if you, for business reasons, you prefer one of your secondaries to be delayed, I don't know, 1 minute, you can configure it, okay?
No, the delay is short as far as I know.
Sorry?
The
Peter?
delay is short as far as I know for this replication.
No, yeah, but this is a feature that you can configure. Okay, so you have a replica set with 3 nodes or 5 nodes, whatever, and you can configure and say one of these nodes is not gonna be replicated immediately. I want this to be delayed for 1 hour, for 1 day, whatever you need. Okay, you can do that, and this feature was introduced in this version. At that time, in order to synchronize the system time between all the servers, they use clock skew on the master. They were not using the SNMTP feature of the Linux system. Also, they introduced the first geo capabilities. So in this case, it was 2-dimension geospatial search. And regarding the query language, so they were introducing, for example, the $not, which seems to be very basic right now, but it happened at that time. Another thing, for example, $operator used for updating arrays, or $lm match. $unset as well. So I think that developers here are very used to deal with every day with this with these commands, I would say. Okay, sharding, very important feature, introduced in 1.2.6 version. Okay. And also the capability of being able to transform a standalone node to a sharded cluster without any downtime. What else they did in this version? Automated failover in a replica set. So when you have a replica set, you know that you have only a writable node, which is called primary. The others are secondaries, being getting in sync with the primary. So if the primary falls down, automatically the replica set is able to run an election, okay, and switch the primary to a healthy server. More stuff here. You have heard about the right concern. Okay. So that was introduced here. Do you know what right concern means, any of you, for MongoDB?
No.
No? Okay. It's very easy to understand, and this is a feature that is very important and can impact the performance. So when you're going to write in a replica set, let's suppose that we have 3 members in that replica set. Okay, your application is going to send it through the driver to the primary. Okay, so your application is waiting for the database to send you a response, an okay or not okay. Okay, so when will you get that response? When the database has committed that write into the primary or in the 3 servers. Okay, this is right concern, and you can configure it. You can configure it to get the response just when the write has been committed just to the primary, or to the primary and 1 secondary, or to the primary and 2 secondaries, or to all the members in the replica, or even to the majority. In MongoDB, the concept of majority has changed in time. I will talk about this later, but at the very beginning, majority was just the majority of the servers. So if you have 3 members in your replica set, the majority is 2. If you have 4, majority is 3. If you have 5, majority, okay. This is how the right concern works. Okay, now they allow us to create up to 64 indexes per collection, upsells with the find and modify feature, etc. 1.8, write ahead journaling. This is very technical stuff, but it's just to reduce the time needed when a crash occurs in one of the servers. And also they introduce sparse indexes and cover indexes. Both are important, but let me explain a little bit about cover indexes. This is something that in every query we should try to get. Why? Because if we get a cover index, all the data that the query needs to retrieve will be read from memory, not from disk. Okay, and you know that reading from memory is much more is faster than reading from disk. And this is what we call cover index. So just by using the index, we are able to retrieve all the information that the query is asking for. Version 0. Compact. Okay, what is this about? The compact command allows you to reduce the size in disk needed for your collection. Okay, so nowadays there are better solutions for compacting your data. Okay, but this is a command that they introduce in this version. And okay, what is that solution that I recommend to use instead of compact? Just to do an initial sync in the server, in the member of your replica set that you need to compact. Okay, let's say initial sync. What is an initial sync? It's just to delete all data in that server. Okay, because okay, don't forget that we are talking about the MongoDB deployed as replica sets. So a replica set is a group of servers that all of them hold exactly the same data. That way we can delete the data in one of the servers, and automatically MongoDB will start from scratch to send the data to this server. This is an initial sync. Authentication with sharded clusters was introduced here, very important thing. Okay. Hidden nodes in sharded clusters. A hidden node, this is a feature that you can use when you don't want your driver to connect against that member of the replica set for any reason. You know that in your application you need to configure your connection string, and if you want to do it properly, you should put in that connection string all the members in your replica set. But even with this, if you want one of your driver not to connect to one of those servers, you just need to configure it as hidden, and that's all. Your application will not read data from it. By the way, in MongoDB, by default, all writes will be performed in the primary. Of course, as I said, this is the only member that accepts writes. But you can configure by default as well. Reads will go against the primary. But if you want to change this for any reason, you can redirect your queries to your secondaries. Okay, data center awareness for a replica set. Okay, you can deploy a replica set, the members in your replica set in different data centers. There could be a reason in which you, for your business, is more adequate to deploy one server, for example, here in Zurich, another one in Frankfurt, and another one in Stockholm, for example. Okay, you just by adding a tag to those servers, okay, you can build in a proper query. Of course, you can say, hey, okay, I need this, I need to execute this query, but against this server, just by using the tag. Okay, the right concern majority. The majority is, I said earlier that we could say, okay, let's wait to get the confirmation from the database that my data has been committed from one server, 2 servers, 3 servers. The concept of majority was introduced here. I explained also earlier what a majority is. Okay, in this point, majority taking in consideration just the number of servers. Nowadays, it's not like that. I will explain. Okay, also in this feature they introduced the ability for DBAs to reconfigure a replica set that has lost the majority of the members. Let's suppose, yeah, please.
Is the MongoDB 2.0 cheaper, or what is the advantage in comparison to the latest, the 8?
You are asking me to compare version 2 with the current one, 8. There are many things that we will talk about, some of the differences in the next slides. Okay, but yeah, the difference, I would say, that is huge. Is huge in terms of not just what you can do with MongoDB, but also the performance. Okay, we are comparing a database version 2, which was released. Let's see it. Was released in 2011. Okay, with a version released a few months ago, so the difference is huge.
It's history.
Yeah. Okay. So I was going to say that, or probably I finished. I'm not sure that in this version, MongoDB added the ability for a DBA to reconfigure a replica set, even in the case that it has lost many of the members on it. So, for example, just with one, okay, you can reconfigure the replica set. And why is this important? Sorry, not sure if you are aware. Because if you don't have the majority in a replica set, all your members will turn on read-only mode. So your application will not be able to write anything. And when I am talking about writes, I'm talking about inserts, deletes, and updates. Okay. So an application that is not able to modify data is not useful at all, I would say. This is why this feature was important. Aggregation pipeline. Till this moment, you were able to use just the MongoDB query language to query the database. But now they introduce this query language a bit different to the normal one, which is the aggregation pipeline. And this is the language, I would say, the language that is going to deprecate and to deprecate MapReduce. But it was just introduced here, and MapReduce was removed some years later. TTL collections. This is a nice feature that allows you to delete data when you don't need it anymore. So usually in other databases, you as a developer needs to take care of this and do it manually, I would say. Okay, you can configure some triggers, for example, or whatever. But in MongoDB, you can configure and say, okay, this data I want to be deleted in 1 year since it was inserted, or when a specific date comes. Here they also introduced the tag aware sharding. In the last version 2.0, we have said that they introduced this for replica sets, but now for sharding. Let me explain very briefly what a shard is in MongoDB. A shard, let's say that is a group of replica sets, but in a replica set we all know that all the members on it hold the same data. However, in a replica set we have what is called shards, and the shards are just replica sets, but the data in a shard is different than the data in the other shards. Okay, and this is the way MongoDB has to scale horizontally, and MongoDB does it very well, and automatic, and developers don't need to know where their data is. They just send a query against the whole cluster, let's say, the whole cluster, and they will get the data back. So they don't need to know where the data is. Red preference was introduced here. Okay, this is from where you want to get your data back. If you want to read your data from the primary, or from a secondary, or from a primary prefer, or from a secondary prefer, these sort of things. LMatch projection. This is a particular feature of the $LMatch. and then Mongo oblog for replaying oblogs. The oblog is the feature that MongoDB uses in order to store those operations that the write operations, so any kind of writes, and is used for several things, but one of them is for the replication. Okay, all those operations that modify the status of the data are the ones that are replicated to the secondaries. But it's also very useful to achieve or to get point-in-time backups. Okay, let's continue with the same version. We can now run a Mongo dump, so a dump from secondaries. Inside the replica set, we can synchronize the members not just from the primary, from any other member, and this is configurable. And the shard key can now be a compound index. Do you know what a shard key is? No? We have talked about sharded clusters, and I've said that in a sharded cluster we have different shards, and this is to scale. Okay, this is to scale, to be able to scale. All those shards are storing different data, but okay, different data, but could be different data from a single collection. And I also said, okay, we can do this in a flexible way, and developers don't need to know in which shard the data is. How is this possible? Because by using specific fields in your field or fields in your collection, we can split the data among all these shards. Okay, so just an example. Let's suppose that our database is storing company employees, and one of the fields is the surname. Okay, we could decide, let's store the data from our employees whose surname starts with A and ends till I don't know, J, for example, in the first shard. Okay, starting in the next letter from I don't know, till R, for example, in the second shard, and from S till Z in the last shard. Okay, this is I think that's a good example. Let's continue with version 2.4, text search. Now we could use, in order to search text inside the fields, we can use this feature, and also by making use of regex. Okay, geospatial support now to the sphere. Okay. What else? In this feature, they introduced the capability of use SSL certificates. What else? Also, Kerberos. They decided to change from JavaScript to the JavaScript engine from SpiderMonkey to V8, but this was just for a couple of years, I think. They realized that this was not a good idea, and they came back to V8 later. Okay, and also the capability of building indexes in background, several indexes at the same time in the same server. Version 2.6. They added the capability for your aggregation pipelines queries to retrieve the data using cursors, or also, if this is good for you, for your business, also to write that output in a new collection or in an existing one. Regarding security, you know that in MongoDB we have built-in roles created by default in the database, but now they introduce this, which allows you to create the roles you need. So, for example, the way it works in MongoDB is that we create first a user, of course, then we create a role, and lastly we assign that role to that user or a group of users. And we could do things like, okay, let's give this group of people assigned to this role the capability to read from this collection in this database, this specific collection in this database, this sort of things with this granularity. Intersection is an interesting feature, okay, which is that when you run a query that could be fulfilled by different indexes at the same time, you don't use just one, you will use both at the same time. Okay, one for a specific part of your query, the other for another part of your query, and at the end they will merge the output and give you what you are looking for. Okay, more stuff we have written here. Use power of two sizes. This is an interesting feature in order to decrease the fragmentation you have in your disk. So when you are going to write, you will get more space at the beginning and at the end of the blocks that your data needs. Okay. And okay, you can also specify your time limit for your cursors and so on. Auditing capabilities, LDAP support for authentication, pluggable storage engine API. I think that this was not this API didn't succeed, but it allowed developers to create storage engines and to be in use with MongoDB. Wire-tight document level locking, very performance improvement here. Right concern majority, I said earlier that this changed. At the very beginning it was just taking into consideration the number of nodes, but now it's taking into consideration which nodes are able to vote in elections for a primary. So the concept changes a bit. Okay, more security improvements such as Scrum, SAM, uh, 3.2 Ops Manager. Inside the clusters now config servers are configured as replica sets, not anymore as master and slave. Partial index, document validations, new aggregation stages. Indexes now can cover aggregation operations. Native encryption, okay, for your data. A new engine they introduced called in-memory storage engine. As I said, the Spider Monkey JavaScript engine. And here in this slide we can see the rest of the MongoDB versions, and I have highlighted here in bold the main features, in my opinion. So VI connector for being able to connect MongoDB against business intelligence tools such as Tableau and Qlik. Change streams in 3.6, retrievable rights, driver for R programming language, connector also for Spark, transactions, very important feature introduced in this version 4. Version 2 of Scrum SA as authentication mechanism. Ops Manager connector for Kubernetes, materialized views, wildcard indexes, other products as such as Atlas Data Lake, Atlas Search, Kafka connector, charts. Charts is also an interesting tool. All of them, but this is able to connect against your data and in real time build different graphs that you need. Time series collection, live resarding of the SAR key, what I mentioned earlier. What else? Kerberos certificate, rotation, Kubernetes controller, queryable encryption, cluster to cluster sync, Atlas CLI, Atlas Data Lake, relational migrator, very important for being able to migrate from SQL databases to MongoDB. Vector search in version 7. This was because they was able to use Lucene, which is the engine behind Elasticsearch. Thank you. Okay, many other things are now inside MongoDB because of this Lucene engine. And the last version 8. Okay, many things, many improvements, performance improvements that we could use also AI stuff that we could talk in another meeting. Very briefly, because I'm running out of time, MongoDB tools that we could use: Ops Manager in order to automate the deployments of the clusters, but also to monitor, okay, and create some alerting system. Compass to help developers with queries and aggregation pipelines and many other things. Atlas, the database in the cloud, fully managed by MongoDB. Cluster to cluster sync, when you need to migrate from for example, from one data center to another, you can make use of this feature. Relational migrator, I've already talked about. Charts, change strings, okay, and MongoShell. Also, if any of you don't know about the MongoDB University, there's plenty of courses, free courses, very good, by the way. Okay, this is everything. Thank you for your time.